Hey everyone, Giselle here, back again with some facts. In today's video, we're gonna be talking about ecological imperialism. Have you heard of it before? If you haven't, let me tell you, you're living in its legacy. If you live in Taiwan, for example, you may experience the impact every time you purchase tomatoes, potatoes, or even corn ice cream from Family Mart. So what is ecological imperialism? Let me take you back to August of 1492, when Columbus, an Italian explorer and navigator, sailed west to the Atlantic under Spanish flag on his main vessel, the Santa Maria. His goal was to find a new path to Asia, but unintentionally stumbled upon the Bahamas in Central America on the 12th of October, thinking that he arrived at his destination. This marked the beginning of the colonization of the Americas, and a process coined by A.W. Clasby in his book Ecological Imperialism as a Columbian Exchange. The Columbian Exchange occurred when conquering countries transported large amounts of animals, crops like potatoes, corn and tomatoes, precious metals, and even the local people who were exported as slave labor. When colonizers entered into the colonized territories, so did their old world plants and animal species, old world diseases, infection germs, and explosive microbes, which led to the extinction of many native animals and plants. This so-called biological expansion significantly disrupted the ecological balance in practically every bioregion invaded. Colonizers kept importing plants and animals, which were familiar to them because their newly colonized places were unfamiliar and they didn't know how to deal with it. They decorated their new homes to look like their old homes based on their Western concept of what was natural landscape and what it should look like. When these European immigrants brought their flora and fauna to the New World, these places then started manufacturing and exporting non-native foods such as wheat, barley, rye, cattle, and more. Most of these diseases were unintentionally introduced, but had an enormous impact on the local population. Due to the lack of immunity response to the unknown pathogens, 80 to 90% of the native people were affected and died. Ecological imperialism refers to the destruction through exploitation, extraction, and transfer of natural resources in the interest of scientific and economic progress based on colonization of other people's land. We'll just share one example with you today. This study talks about how coral restoration efforts can be a part of ecological imperialism if not done mindfully. Since most of the funding and technology for conservation and restoration comes from more industrialized countries and are often applied directly onto less industrialized countries, which might result in the exact same mechanism brought about by the Columbian expansion. History has shown that Western scientific approaches imposed on non-Western cultures tend to not acknowledge or even dismiss how the local relate to their environment socially and culturally. We need to be aware of not repeating the colonizing legacy of ecological imperialism and to value the local cultures and knowledge. Join us next time for Facts with Giselle.